play stretch for Andrew in the first half where he had like a steal. I don't think he converted. Then he had that dunk, and then he had another big play. Do you show film of that to him and say, bottle this up, and that kind of effort is what we need from you?
Definitely. I mean, we typically watch all of his minutes with him. In fact, this afternoon we're going to do that together, he and I, because I was recruiting yesterday. But he's really got a lot of potential as a player, and I think he's already grown a great deal since he got here. But he has a lot of areas where he's got to continue to get better. First and foremost, consistently playing as hard as he possibly can, particularly on the defensive end. And that's been an adjustment for him that he's in the middle of. But I think he's really moving in the right direction.
What's it like for a guy like him? He arrives McDonald's All-American, 5-star. It's not as easy for those guys right away.
Yeah.
How has he handled all that? Because sometimes those kids arrive and they expect it to be easy for them.
Well, I think that's Dustin, one of the biggest challenges as a talented young guy. And it's not just about the young man, but sometimes it's about all the people around him as well. And just the fact that it's going to be harder than you probably thought it was going to be. And that's independent of the place where you are, because you can look around the country at most freshmen and, you go through ups and downs, and it might not be on the court in a game. It might be in practice. It might be off the court academically, but sometimes it's challenging. And the question then is, for a young guy 10 games into his freshman year, how willing is he to battle through and try to follow the process that the coaches set out for him? Because that's one thing that's not going to change is we have a process, we have a plan, and the extent to which we're able to create buy-in from our young guys, that's going to determine how much better they get and how quickly they get better.
Shaka, 10 games into this, Shaka, how do you feel that all the guards have played that? Before the year we called it a point guard by committee approach. How has that gone?
At the point guard spot, certainly not anywhere nearly as well as we want it to go. I think, Brian, we knew it was going to be a work in progress. We knew there was going to be some ups and downs at that position early. So I guess from that standpoint, it's not a surprise. You as a coach, you always want things to be better than they are, and that's certainly at that position. We need to grow in a lot of different areas. We need to get sturdier with the ball. We had some critical turnovers against Arkansas in the second half that I think are preventable. We need to find our teammates a little bit more. There's been stretches where our guys have done a good job of that. There's been other stretches where we haven't done as well with that. We need to keep the other team's guards from getting in the paint, and we need to spearhead our defense as point guards. We need to communicate at a higher level. When you play that position, there's a higher level of expectations on you, typically from the coaching staff. That's just part of playing that spot. I mean, you have to embrace that if you truly want to be a point guard. I think one of the challenges is, nowadays at the highest level of basketball, when you look at the point guards in the NBA, the first thing that a lot of people think of is how much they score. And you always love guys that can score. But those guys also are running their teams. They're organizing their team. They're taking care of the ball. And again, we don't expect our guys to be at the level of the best players in the world at that position. But if you want to emulate those guys, which I think any point guard does, then not only do you emulate some parts, but you want to emulate all parts. I gave a few of the guys a little laminate. I'd given it to them a while back, and I gave it to them again the other day, and it said, "What point guards do?" And it was about 25 things that point guards do, and a lot of it has nothing to do with physical skill. I happened to give it to Eric, Snoop, and Andrew, because that was who I was with at the time. I'm going to give one to Jacob as well, because he's a guy that could see some minutes there as well.
So fortunately, there's no waiver wire, as you know. So who do you want to be at that role going into K-State? And who do you want over the next few games to? Does it have to be Kerwin at this point?
It's gonna be all of them, Brian. I mean, it's first of all, it's a 40-minute game, so they're not gonna play. Nobody is going to be able to play the whole game. If you play as hard as we need them to play, you're going to need a break. You are. So it's going to be all of them. It's certainly going to be Andrew and Snoop and Eric some and Jacob some. I wish I could tell you one guy where it's like that's the guy. Isaiah Taylor. He's going to be the guy with that ball in his hands all the time. But we just don't have that situation right now. Until someone is to emerge and become that.
How we should Andrew step into that role
there? He wants to play that position. He's learning. He's played that position some in the past. He's played off the ball some in the past. He obviously has good size, so he can play multiple positions. I thought the Arkansas game offensively was the best that he's played. For him to have 7 assists was terrific. He had 16, 17 points. He only shot 6. He shot 6 field goal attempts, 4 or 6, but he got to the foul line quite a bit. And he's a terrific free throw shooter. I know he was 8 for 11 the other night, but every time he shoots a free throw, I think it's going in because he's got a nice compact stroke. I think over the course of his career, he will shoot a very, very high percentage.
Eric struggles like he did Saturday. Do you feel like as a sophomore finding your confidence and keeping it is maybe the toughest thing for him right now?
It is. He needs to stop feeling sorry for himself. That's what he needs to do. And I've made that. I can say that publicly because I've made that very clear to him. And he and I are going to spend time together every day talking about that and working through that. Listen, we all hit times that are challenging. We all hit times that we certainly wish, things were easier at different times, but you have to decide you're going to battle up and you're going to do the things that go into success. He is a very talented young man. He's a terrific kid. He's a kid that when he allows his charisma and his personality to come out, he can be a great teammate. He can be a leader. He's gotten himself in a little bit of a rut, and instead of trying to get out of it through owning a process, he's just kind of hoping his way out of it. And as his coach, I've tried a lot of different ways, to put my arm around him and pull him through it. But now we're at the point where he needs to step up and say, okay, I'm going to make this about everyone else around me, and through that I can start to play better myself. And I've seen other guys do that, and it will work for Eric.
Is that maybe the challenge for you as a coach with every player is to find what works and how to go about it with certain guys the right way?
The challenge for me as a coach is to get our team to understand what Javon Felix now understands, what DeMarcus Howland now understands, and that is if we care about each other at a higher level than we currently do, if we care about what goes into winning at a higher level than we currently do, then all the things we want will happen. It's easier said than done with young guys to really fully grasp that. And just because you grasp it today doesn't mean it's automatic tomorrow when you're dealing with 18, 19, 20-year-old guys. But it's not going anywhere. It's a reality. This is a game that is going to be a challenge when you're playing against good teams, and it's going to be a team game. It's going to be something that you have to bond together and come together as a group and say, listen, how can I make you better? How can you make him better? And how can all of us as a cohesive unit focus on the only thing that we're trying to do right now, which is winning this game? And I thought we started the Arkansas game. I looked out there and I thought I saw that for a time. And, the challenge right now is just being able to create 40 minutes of it.
You talked about that a lot, just kind of getting them to understand all of the little things. At a certain point in time, did they have to take ownership of that, or can you continue to preach it to them over and over?
Well, it's always a team taking ownership. I think the coach's role, the head coach primarily, and then the assistant coaches as well, is to find different ways to make that point. And unfortunately, the way it works is typically not everybody gets it at once. If it's one guy at a time. And so going into our Alabama game, Shaq, he got it. Like he really understood. You could see it on his face and what was coming out of his mouth. And for about a 3-day stretch, 2 days before the game, the day before the game, the day of the game, he kind of willed his team through his actions and through what was coming out of his mouth to being at a higher level, and that allowed us to win that game. Now we need other guys to come with him, and we need that to come consistently.
Isaiah Taylor said, just grow into the point guard position. He said it before. I guess speaking toward the mentality of a point guard, do you see that these guys can in fact grow into that position?
He said you do or don't?
Don't.
He said you're either born with it or you can't.
Yeah, he's a trip. I think I understand what he was saying, but I think you can learn as well, and I think he did. You look at over the course of his career, there are certain intangible qualities that some people have that probably were never really taught, or maybe they learned when they were really, really little, and those are really beneficial at that position. But I do think the guys that we have can learn and improve. A lot of it's just a matter of want to. We really like to use the Navy SEALs and the military examples, because the one thing I like about the military is, for those guys and in what they're doing, either they figure it out, or the consequences are a lot more dire than losing a game. And so, like, they figure it out. The Navy SEALs, they figure it out. And for our guys, that's not the case. I mean, it's not. There's no life or death, which we're glad that there isn't. We're fortunate to not be in that situation. But if you want to be great, if you want to learn how to be terrific at a certain position, then how important is it to you to really internalize the stuff that goes into that? And Isaiah had some of the same things, when he was here. Now, he did have certain natural point guard qualities, and he was lightning quick. But how much, Isaiah, can you be about the guys around you? That was something that was a challenge, I think, for him over the course of his career, and he got better. And he learned how to embrace other guys and make other guys better.
Shaka, I never thought I would be asking this, but do you think these guys are soft?
No, I think I do think, Brian, that there's been a lot of plays this year where, to me, I look out there and I see at times a little bit of a divided mind that can keep you from being as aggressive as you possibly can be. And again, part of our job is to try to create a completely clear mind for following one thing, and that's a process. And you watch our games. There's a look that you have on your face when there's a clarity of purpose right now for what I'm trying to go do. I'm going after this ball. And then there's another look that you have when it's, I'm not sure, and that can lead to soft plays. I think that's different than being innately soft. I don't think that our guys are innately soft. I think I've seen these guys, to a man, make some really tough plays, really aggressive plays.
But at the same time, though, Bob was sitting right next to me. We saw Eric come off the floor, and I could see it on his face, and you jumped all over him correctly. I mean, it was obvious to us that he,
Woe is me.
yeah.
It's woe is me. And I mean, let's tell it like it is. I mean, we're dealing with something that is not unique to our team. I mean, what you see is, I think, in college basketball, in different levels of basketball, leading up to college basketball, it is a learned quality to be able to take adversity, to take hard times, and not get down and not be bummed out and not feel sorry for yourself. That's something you have to learn. It's called growing up. It's called maturing. It's called being a man. And that's, I'll tell it like it is, we're in the process of learning to be men. And as we do that, we will be better. We will handle stuff like that better because, I tell these guys all the time, guess what? This is not the highest level of adversity you're going to face in your life. You're missing a few shots or whatever it may be. But you're right. The other day, Eric came off the court and he was down. But the game's still going on. I believe it was in the first half.
That's right.
And I believe we're winning the game. So we're winning the game right now. Shift your focus onto what we need to do as a group to be the best we can be. If we do that, when we do that, then we have a chance to be our best, and then you can see what we're all about. Until then, you'll be asking me questions about soft plays.
Does that catch you off guard though, when you talk so much to this team about playing for each other and becoming more? Do those kind of things ever catch you off guard?
I'm not sure if you're trying to get me to say like I'm disappointed or something about it. I mean,
I'm just curious if those moments when he puts his head down and you're leading in the first half, if you kind of go, I'm surprised you're reacting this way.
It doesn't catch you off guard because you've seen it. I mean, been coaching for a long time. Remember who we're dealing with. I don't know how you guys were at that age, but it's something that these guys, as young guys, are going to have to continue to learn with our help. That hey, you can respond. You can be the best you can be on the next play. That last play is not going to change. That call is not going to change. That missed layup's not going to change. But we're in the thick of it, guys. Like we're in the game right now, and we have a chance to go win. And we can go down two different roads. The first road is we're putting all of our energy into being the best we can be and going after this opponent. Or the second road is we're a little bummed out because that last play or last series of plays didn't go well, or because coach took me out, or because whatever happened. And which road is going to give us the best chance to win? I really believe that on a certain level, every guy on our team understands those things, grasps those things, even agrees. In the moment, sometimes it can be harder, not making excuses. Does it surprise me? No. Do I feel like we can be better, need to be better, have to be better at those things? There's no other way. There's no other way. And that's something we're going to work on every day. And it's my job as a coach to expose those things in front of these guys, not just in the games, but in practice. We just got done with practice. We just got done exposing it. And it's going to be every day. And you walk in the weight room in the next 30 minutes, you'll see me and Eric Davis in there on the Versa Climber. Because every day we're going to do something extra until he realizes what it means to take on this great opportunity that he has right now with a smile on his face and eat it for breakfast. And when he does that, he will be a great player because we all know how good he can be.
Two last ones.
Shaka, speaking of Zay a little earlier, seeing him Saturday, I know you guys talk a bunch, but
Yeah.
what are you telling him right now in terms of just, keeping his head up and working toward where he's trying to get the ultimate?
Well, he's in a process, and he sent me a text. He's so confident, so I think this summer he's working out with the Rockets and doing all the things he was doing with all those guys, and I think it was just kind of an assumption that he was going to make the team. He didn't make the team. I think he was a little, upset about that. He's a competitor. He sent me a text. He said, I'm in damn near Mexico. And I said, yeah, that's their D-League team. And I said, listen, what are you going to do? I mean, it's an opportunity. You're one step away from the NBA. So go attack it. And he has. Unfortunately, he got hurt, so he's on the sidelines for a little while, but he's attacked it. I think we all know Isaiah is talented enough to play in the NBA. He just needs to continue getting better and growing, doing the right things so that people in that organization or another organization say, I want that guy on my team. Because it's the same thing for him that we preach to these guys on our team. Now, at the highest level, you're at a level where you're going to be a role player. And now you've got to do all these little things right and treat everybody the exact right way and do all these little point guard specifics we talk about so that they want you on their team. And Isaiah's smart. I think he's really, really smart. So I'm pulling for him. If he was a stock, I would bet on him.
Shaka, totally different subject. I don't know how aware you are of all the details, but with Joe doing his deal over at the Del Chiller's office,
Yeah.
what's it like for you to see one of your guys take on a project like that away from the court?
Yeah, I think it's terrific. I think, Joe, he didn't have to do this, and this was part of an assignment for class, but it's taken on a life of its own beyond just a class with what he's done, and raised a lot of money, and that much money buys a lot of toys. I think Scott was with them. They went to buy some toys, and I mean it's so he's made a big difference. And I just think the one of the things that Joe understands at a higher level than most of the rest of our guys is I think he has an advanced understanding of giving back and that the role that he can play in making other people around him better and other people around him happy. I think that's a really special thing, and I'm proud of Joe.